of my other books are out of print, and they're coming up with a second edition as well. So be on the lookout for those. But the thing that I love about 52 Ways to Tackle Leadership for Your Success, it's part of a 3-book series. And the next one is called Destiny Focused Leadership. And then the last one is How to Live Your Destiny versus Your Future. So you have a 3-book series. That's
fantastic.
Really, yeah, it's going to really serve as a foundation for people, not only in leadership, but just in love and encouragement. And when you get in those tough places, you know, I think
absolutely.
I just put a quote out there the other day that really talked about the idea of when it seems like a tempest is all around you, a storm is all around you. At the end of the day, none of that stuff matters. Just walk in the purpose that you are called out to walk, and you'll be fine. But you have to remember that. You have to remember that.
I knew people would glean so much information from you today. People, you're listening to the Ask Avani Show. My special guest today, Dr. Jason Carthen. Wow, I need to know. Please tell me, Dr. Jason, you've just been talking about all the books that you've written so far today. Is there a book that you are particularly proud of when you finally wrote and published it to date? Because I know obviously you may have more.
Well, hey, that phenomenological inquiry of the psychological antecedents of that was a beast, Avani. I'm proud of that. And just, our listening audience, I just want to encourage them. I am actually going to rewrite that thing and, really break it down because it's so, in some ways, it's too high-minded. I wanted to give someone something where they can just look at it and go, okay, if this person is acting a certain way, then I need to react to them in a certain way. That's really what that book talks about. And so I need to put it in plain language.
Okay, yes, give it to us, layman terms, please. Because I was fascinated by the title. I was like, wow, I really have to speak to him about this and ask him, please explain that, because I love to read. And I was thinking, if I could find out even more about maybe what in depth that book is about, or just any books, that I've noticed, I don't know if this works for other people, but do you find that, especially with younger kids, that if they come to you and they say, I like to read, and that's one of the ways you can get into their sort of psyche because you found another thing that they enjoy to learn, like a learning tool?
Absolutely. And it's so funny that you even asked that. I am working with a designer and also an artist right now, but I have a children's book series that will be coming out. That's not going to be until next year, but we're doing all the drawings and all of that. And it's so, I guess you'd say, appropriate because they're using the leadership linebacker. I'll give you just a little bit of backstory on it. But basically, the leadership linebacker will exist as a superhero in the context of...
I love that!
And the superhero, it's kind of funny, too. I can't wait for you to see the cape and all the other stuff they did.
I love it.
What they decided to do and the information I gave them, I said, hey, let's write this in a way that the leadership linebacker is going to use character and integrity as his superpowers. And he's going to fight up against those individuals that want to use negative peer pressure, abuse, and challenges like that, where he's going to be able to use some of these positive things to combat that. So young people will be able to see it and go, that makes sense. I can relate to the superhero, and that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah. I've yet to meet a young child who, again, when I was younger, I loved them too, and I still do. So I've yet to meet a young child that doesn't like the superheroes or the, anything like that, the supernatural. Wow, yeah. I love the idea of that. Please come back and tell us about that when you finally publish it, because we would love to hear about it. And I want to know, if you could go back in time, especially after some of the challenges that you've had, and speak to your younger self, especially when you were growing up and working towards your goals, what would you say, if anything? Would you change anything or go back?
Oh my goodness. Wow, Vani, that's deep. I would say it's going to be okay. I would say it's going to be okay. Right now, there are some challenges, and you may feel lonely. You may feel afraid. You may feel like your world is not like other people's, but that's okay, and you'll be fine. And as long as you can just draw upon that strength, life is going to be good. God has a plan and purpose for your life. He talks about that in Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans for hope in the future. And my reality is that no one was talking to me like that back then. And it was was very difficult. So if I could go back, I would just pour out that love and be very encouraging.
Wow, fantastic. Because there's so many people out there, as you said, and we must continue to say, we know they're out there. Hopefully they will glean something, a lot from today's show, because these are the people we want to reach out to, as well as everyone else, just to keep on supporting each other. And if you have young children and teens in your life who you think maybe they could go down the wrong path unless I sort of catch them right at the moment, it's just, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to speak to you, because over here in the UK, I have found we don't have as many people as such as yourself that will come out and speak to, the teens and young adults growing up. And we need more of that, basically. And I'm hoping that this show will reach out and everyone can see that, yes, there are people, if you may not know them, that are close to you, that at least there are people around the world, especially because of today's technology, you can get in contact with, So I'm fascinated. Again, I have more questions for you, please. Let's see.
Avani, let me share this with you too. I would love to. I mean, I've visited the UK 4 times, and I'd love to come back, and I'd love to speak to a group. If you ever want to organize something like that, or if we can get as many people in one place as possible, I'd love to come and talk to them. And even in the interim, I'd love for people to be able to connect with me. There's a few ways they can do that. If they want to reach out to me, they can go to jason-carthen.com and sign up for updates from me. If they want to receive text messages, they can. Now, this is a fun part. They can actually text to me, I Speak Life, to 38470. If they text to that, then, hey, I'll get that immediately. They'll be signed up and they'll be connected with me. So
wow, technology. Fantastic. Yeah. We love that. Fantastic. Oh, my goodness. Now, just speaking of that, and one of your many other things that you do, obviously you are a radio personality. Now, can you tell us how you got into radio and when you decided to start doing your own radio show, a very successful radio show, I might add?
Oh, thank you. Well, it was about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, after I transitioned from TV, because once I went to go back to school, I did that old TV thing. It was like, I don't have time. I can't do all this stuff. And that's the whole balance thing we talked about. And, I said, I want to share a message with people that is, one, about leadership, two, that would be encouraging, and one that would empower people to really follow their dreams. So I wanted to be very intentional with it. So I created the Discover the Leader in You show. And, it talks about entrepreneurship. It talks about business, motivation, all those different things. And we have guests coming on from Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies and individuals that are in the trenches on a daily basis. I want to have you come on the show as well.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I'll be honored.
Absolutely. And so, anyone that tunes in, they are sure to get something from it. It's a live show, so people call in, and it's good. It's good to be able to share a message, and that's what the Discover the Leader in You show has been able to do. It's on iHeartRadio, WHK. I mean, it goes all over the world. So that's
really seriously syndicated and successful. Yes, it's going to continue. Fantastic. Now, can I ask you, what made you get into keynote speaking? And can you elaborate a little bit exactly what keynote speaking is?
Sure. Absolutely. Well, it was something that I really just sort of stumbled into. I didn't go into it thinking, well, I want to be a keynote speaker. I want to be a professional speaker. It was more of people would ask me, hey, would you come and share, a positive message, or would you come and just talk about some of the things that you've experienced, different things like that. And I began to realize that, I have a responsibility to share from this platform. At the time, it was professional sports. But then I began to realize that, hey, I have a platform because of what you've described today. Really, I should have been a statistic. And instead of succumbing to what my circumstances were, I decided to rise above it and then tell other people how to do the same thing or encourage them throughout the process to make it a little bit easier rather than what I had to go through. So when you think about a keynote speaker or a platform presenter or someone who is going to be in the center of the conference or event, that's that individual that is charged with making sure you carry out the objectives of the meeting planner. And so when I work with meeting planners, I will say to them, okay, what do you want to have accomplished today? Do you want to eliminate waste in the organization? Do you want to increase productivity? Do you want to lessen the moments of conflict in your organization? And then based upon what they share with me, I craft a message, if I don't already have something dealing with it, in a way that will allow them to actually have their objectives met.
Wow. So was there something or a number of things, because you said you stumbled into it, that influenced you to continue to want to speak in public and at the same time help to motivate and inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs and business people?
Sure. Well, I think for me, I would see certain instances of things that I didn't think was right. And so I wanted to sort of talk about it in a way that would not blame people, but would allow people to see a different way. And so by speaking about it in a positive way, and we'll just talk about civic engagement or being someone who's socially conscious about things, I would go and talk about those things and do it in a way that would offer an alternative to what was going around or what was taking place at that time.
Wow. So do you believe, I know I've asked this question already slightly a little bit, but the strong personality thing, I use the word strong personality. We could, as you say, self-assured, confident, but this persistent streak that I'm curious, do you think that's part of what has enabled you to accomplish so many of the things you've done and be successful?
Yes. Yeah, I am a strong believer in just being passionate, diligent, and just grinding. I mean, just grinding and doing what you need to do on a daily basis. And when other people have gone to bed, I'm still awake. When other people are in the bed, I'm up, It's one of those
so things. You just keep pushing. Yep.
That's right.
Oh, wow. So what would you say to someone? See, I know there's a lot of young people out there, especially this part of the message I want to get out, especially a teenager or a young person who's maybe still at school or college and they want to be successful, but they feel that they don't have the so-called quote unquote strong personality and the motivation to get ahead, especially if they've never tried something before, because obviously you have to try something before usually to know that you can do it.
Right. Well, I think one of the things that I would immediately tell them, if they've done the work and they understand who they are and what makes them tick, what they like, what they don't like, then they have to figure out what their niche is. And what I mean by that is that they have to figure out, okay, if I like doing something, is it really something that I can be paid for this job or this service for? Is it something that really encourages my heart when I get up every morning to do it? And then once they figure that thing out, then they have to really begin to develop their idea, develop the opportunity to grow this thing. It may not be something that's bold and spectacular and people are going, oh, that's so cool. No, it may be behind the scenes. You may be a computer programmer. You may be writing code. Who knows? All very well-paying jobs, I might add. But, one of the things that the individual would have to figure out, you don't have to be strong and aggressive to operate in your purpose. You just have to figure out what your purpose is and walk in that and then develop it. And then just make sure you continue to cultivate it. Because one thing we haven't talked about, this whole idea of peer pressure. There are going to be people that will try and, I call them dream assassins. They'll come around, and they will try and smash you and tell you, oh, why are you doing that? And blah, blah, blah. And the reality is that you must guard your heart. Guard your heart. When those people come around, you just give them a slight smile and keep it moving. Just go, that's all right, and that's the thing that they have to be intentional with, because people are going to always try and kill what they do not understand. If it's not what they want to do, if it's not what is the most popular thing, then they'll try and kill it. And they are dream assassins. And
wow. Wow. I mean, I hear that being successful, especially in sports, as you have been, is very hard in a lot of ways. Like you said, you have to work, you've got to grind, you've got to keep pushing. But how do you feel that a young person who is demonstrating a high level of sporting prowess, especially if they're being told that they could be very successful in a chosen sport in future if they continue to keep working at it, should they also start to think about the business side from an early age as well, would you say?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that goes without saying. I mean, I think it's less than 3% of the population that will ever play a professional sport. Mm-hmm. So the whole idea that, oh, I'm just going to make it and I'm going to do this. No, I mean, all the odds are stacked against you. I think at the end of the day, you don't stop allowing that to be your dream, but it has to be a twofold dream. You have to make sure that you are